Two words that I hear the most from parents, especially moms. Gotta be honest. I have to be honest. I just heard them just a few minutes ago, actually. The two words are, I'm worried. I hear this all the time. I'm worried, especially for moms. Sometimes I'll elaborate. I'm worried. I've heard this one several times. I'm worried that he's going to end up being 40 years old and still in my basement playing video games. I'm going to address kind of that little scenario specifically, just use it as an example. But I'm going to talk about in this video the worried parent, what I call the worried parent, the parent who lives and exists in a state of worry. Now, what is worry? Let's talk about worry. What is worry? Worry to me is not only anxiety and fear, but worry is also a rumination. You're running the same thing over and over and over and over in your mind. When you worry, the fear and the worry tends to cluster. You go from one bad scenario to 20 like that, right? And a lot of people that I talk to in therapy and in a therapy sense operate under the myth that worry is useful. There are myths about worry I hear all the time. One of the main ones being that it will help them be prepared for a bad scenario. You're not actually prepared. Worry is not preparedness. It's just worry. Worry is just an emotion and a mental state of mind. Like, let's say that another plague is coming, and I could go out and buy 2 cases of toilet paper, or I could sit around and worry about not having toilet paper. No amount of worry is actually going to manifest the toilet paper here in my home. Getting up and buying the toilet paper is what gets you toilet paper. I know, genius, right? But people have this idea that worrying is useful or worrying is productive. It's not. That's a lie. That's a myth. That is a lie. And so when you apply worry in a parenting sense, it works against you. There are a lot of negative variables that happen because of worry. And so in the example of, I'm worried that my son is going to end up being 40 and living in my basement, generally what I find is the more that parent worries about that scenario, the more likely they are to treat it as though it is already true. If your kid's 14 and you're worried obsessively that he's going to end up being 40 in your basement playing video games, chances are you're already treating him that way. It's obviously not effective or appropriate, helpful in any way to treat a 14-year-old kid like he's 40 and still in your basement, because why would you talk to a 40-year-old son who's still living in your basement playing video games? You idiot. You're so useless. I'm sick and tired of this nonsense, right? And I do unfortunately run into a lot of well-meaning and I believe loving parents that find themselves saying things like that to their teenagers because they just get too excessively worried. So today I'm going to talk about the worried parent. I see worried parents all the time. I'm worried. I hear this all the time. And I don't get, because I do a lot of work with families and parents and teenagers, what I almost never see, because I think there's a cause and effect here and a correlation, are parents that come in and say, I'm not worried about this kid. This kid is great, does amazing things, going to overcome his or her obstacles. They're going to grow up to be successful, and so I just don't worry about it. Okay, worried parents always end up in therapy. Worried parents always end up in family therapy. And so here's what I find: worried parents, number one, worried parents are also angry parents. They're just angry. They're just irritable, short-tempered, have a short fuse, have a tendency to respond in an angry way of any variance of expectations, right? The kid says, hey, can I go to my friend's house? And the parent goes, I guess, right? Because that's worried parents worried. Because they can't say yes to anything without worrying about what's going to happen. And he or she may just want to go to the friend's house and jump on the trampoline. I don't know. Something totally harmless. Oh, we're going to go make brownies. I don't know. But the worried parent in their mind wants to say no. Why? Because their worry tells them that a whole bunch of things are going to happen that probably aren't going to happen. But what happens, I see this all the time, is the kid says, I'm going to my friend's house. Okay, all right, fine. Go to your friend's house. And then the two friends go to another friend's house. Nothing bad happened. They didn't break any rules. They didn't do anything bad. It's not like they broke curfew. It's not like they were smoking dope. They're just hanging out. They're kids. They do that. But the worried parent gets angry. You lied to me. And suddenly it's, you lied to me. You told me you were going to this house and then you went to that one. You liar. And this is just the worried parent response that I see all the time. And then the kid gets defensive, rebellious, angry, feels uncared about. There's too much power struggling. And then the parents sit around and wonder what's wrong with my kid. Okay. The worried parent creates these scenarios. Okay. It's normal for kids to go to a friend's house and then they decide to go to another friend's house. Or maybe those friends decide, hey, we're going to go to the park and shoot hoops. I used to do that all the time. We'd round up a whole bunch of other doofuses from around the neighborhood and we'd go to the elementary school where the hoops are low and we would play full court dunk ball. And modern parents wouldn't, and it was so much fun. It was some of my best memories with my friends. We just had a blast just playing basketball on these short hoops. But modern parents would have absolute conniptions over that, is what I find. They just have complete meltdowns because you went somewhere else. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what kids do. They get together and someone goes, hey, let's go play dunk ball. And everyone else goes, yeah, let's go. And they go, and they're kids. That's what they do, okay? So worried parents are angry parents. Always yelling, always freaking out, okay? Number 2, angry parents are also punitive parents, meaning that they always resort to punishments, okay? Kids are going to make mistakes. They're going to do exactly the things that you tell them not to do because they're kids. And sometimes kids make big mistakes. Sometimes they do things that they really shouldn't do. But it's important for kids to learn from their mistakes. That's the key, is experience and an understanding is so important to come from the mistakes that they made. But if we punish them, we destroy the important learning opportunities. Kids will repeat mistakes if they don't learn from those mistakes. And we really, really make it less likely that they learn from their mistakes if we're just punishing them all the time. And I find parents these days, the ones that come to me, usually are overly punitive. They punish too much. It's just everything's a punishment. Punish, 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 punish. And your relationship goes sideways. Everything goes down the drain. But I find that worried parents are also punitive parents. It's just punishments. Like, let's just punish them for every single thing. And I say this all the time, man. This vice principal that I worked with, he had a sign on his door that said, the punishments will continue until the morale improves. You cannot, I say this all the time, you cannot punish kids into good attitudes and good behaviors. You can't do it. The more you punish kids, the more their attitude is going to suck. And that's just true. Imagine that you went to a job where it was they just punished you at every single little job mistake or perceived shortcoming, or every time you missed a detail at work and they just punished you. They gave you a verbal warning. Maybe they put you on notice. They put you on probation. They cut your pay. They dock you. They take away some of your PTO. If every time you turned around it was you screwed up again and we're punishing you, you'd hate that job. You would get out of there. You'd quit like that. You'd be like, screw you and your crappy job. That's how I see a lot of kids these days are feeling about their homes and their parents, is screw this noise. I'm out of here. So worried parents are angry parents. They're punitive parents, and worried parents are controlling. Okay, there are several things that teenagers need. These are needs, like they need to be validated. Okay, they need their parents to give them one-on-one attention. They need to give them eye contact, and they need sincere love. Hey, I appreciate what you did. I'm sure glad you're my kid. You're such a great kid. I sure love you. Okay, kids need that. They need that just as much as they need to eat a large pizza by themselves, because they eat everything in sight, right? Okay, worried parents are controlling. Here's this. This is where I was going. The other thing that kids need: independence. They need freedom. They need autonomy. They need to make their own decisions. They need the ability to go where they want to go, do what they want to do, explore. Attachment theory states that healthy growth and development, because teenagers are still growing and they're still developing, healthy growth and development happens when kids are allowed to explore their worlds. It's almost like the free association, where they see, they do, they experience, and it's healthy for their brain. And I see worried parents that curb this all the time. Worried parents are the ones that vastly inhibit a child's ability to explore the world and then come back to where it's safe. And there's an interesting attachment theory about seeing, doing, exploring, and coming back to where it's safe. Okay, and worried parents absolutely destroy this natural, productive, and healthy practice on behalf of the kids. They just frustrate the crap out of it. And worried parents track their kids' phones. And I've seen parents where it's like, well, why do you track his phone? Well, a year and a half ago he broke curfew. So he's continuing to be punished. Again, there's a punitive part, and the parents always say, well, I'm worried. And okay, so just doing something just to soothe your anxiety is not a good enough reason. You need to have better reasons to do what you do other than I'm worried. If that's the only reason that you do something, you're going to inhibit their healthy growth and development. You're going to frustrate and harm your relationship. All kinds of things. Don't track their phones unless you have really, really good reason to. And maybe have a talk with your partner or whatever. And just, hey, do we have a really, really good reason? And when I say really, really good reasons, you can make a list of like, what are the reasons why we ought to track our kid's phone? And to me, that list is really short, super short. This is the only time in history that parents had the ability to track their kids wherever they went. The only time. And parents do it even though it always has consequences. I've never seen that situation not backfire. Parents that track their kids' phones everywhere, always backfires. Every time. Let go. But worried parents are controlling parents, okay? I'm kind of running long on this video, but worried parents also have a tendency to be helicopter parents. And helicopter parenting, to me, is the bane. It is my arch enemy as a parent and teen therapist. It is my absolute arch enemy. I even know adults who are non-functioning adults, smart, capable, otherwise everything's fine, who say, yeah, I don't function because I had helicopter parents, and I still do. I'm not allowed to do anything. And like they're in their 20s and their parents micromanage their bank account and stuff like that. That's what worried parents do. Anyways, that's going to do it for this one. This one's a little bit long. Hopefully it was informative and helpful to you. So make sure that you like and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.